Hello guys, Nigel here, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and as promised, I am doing a sort of revisit of the inbox review I did for the Trumpeter set. This is the aftermarket set for the 1/200 scale Trumpeter Titanic, part number 03719, and this is 66600. I've had a few questions, a few emails, and a few people not quite understanding how you get hold of this. Basically, if you watch my video on my Trumpeter Titanic kit review, at about 18 minutes you'll see me do this. Okay, so I'll do this again. So you can read that, make sure there's no gloss on it. So you can read that, okay, all the way down, and when you get to the bottom, it tells you how to order it. Okay, so you can either get it from their email address or get it from Facebook. That is how you order it. Okay, and then all you do is you send them an email, and then when your item is ready to ship, just as it says here, when your item is ready to ship, they will come back to you and tell you how much money to pay and how to pay them. So there you go. Right, so first things first, if you remember when I did my original review, I said in there that I would thoroughly recommend that everybody that gets this set go through it with a fine-tooth comb and check you've got all your photo etch frets. It should be A, B, C up to M. There's 13 frets. I think it's A to M. M's certainly the last one I've got there. So make sure you've got all your frets. Make sure you've got all your wooden deck parts, because they're all bagged up, not separately, but they're bagged up in one bag, but they're all separate, they're not on one sheet. So make sure you've got all your deck parts, and also go through all your brass parts. The last thing you want to do is come to make your model and find you've got one of these parts is bent, missing, snapped off, whatever, or misformed. You know, it could have been turned and snagged in the chuck when it was turned, probably done on a sliding spindle lathe. But yeah, just check all your stuff and make sure that it's all there. I've just gone through mine and checked it all out, and I'm going to show you that now. I'm videoing this after I've done it, so come and have a look at the parts with me close up. I'm only going to show a few of them close up, but it really is something incredible. They are amazing, and luckily for me, all my parts are there, and I've got them all bagged up and numbered up, and I'll show you how to do that now. So here we are looking through one of the bags of brass parts, and as you can see, all the parts come in this larger bag, and then they're individually wrapped up in these smaller bags, and I'm going to keep them in those bags, because if a part is missing or something, at least I can say it comes from the bag with such and such parts in, if I need to send Pontos an email or whatever. Although I have emailed Pontos about my HMS Hood and had no replies, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they're shut down because of the virus. But anyway, so I've got the parts laid out here. I've used one of my, this is one of my Trumpeter bulkheads. I thought it'd be a good way to lay the parts out, keep them in one place, not have them rolling all over the place. And also it's a light background to show you. So basically, if you remember, I said the best thing to do is go through these sets and really count every single part and make sure it's all there, because then if you've got a part missing, you can deal with it now rather than waiting into the future when they may not have any in stock, or they may not be making it anymore, or they may not exist. You just don't know. So I've noticed this bag here, this bag contains 13 parts, and it appears to be the last 13 parts on the list. So you can see here we've got they're not like your Tamiya radio controlled instructions where everything's the same size. You can see that obviously this here is number 30, and you can see that it's not to scale, so you just have to use the silhouette, and you do have to look very closely. It's like you can see these two parts here are extremely similar. They look exactly the same, but when you actually look at them close up, you can see that let me see if I can get them both up in the camera and show you. I can't pick these up because I don't have any bloody nails, but if I can get these up in the camera and show you, they've got, I don't think you can make it out, they've got steps going up, they've got step diameters going up, and one of them, I think it's the aft mast, has less steps. This one has steps all the way up. Sorry, they both have steps all the way up until you get to the last 8mm, and there's a step in, you can see there on the right hand side, there's a step there, and that one doesn't have it. So you have to be really careful about not getting your parts mixed up. The other thing I noticed, if you remember, I showed these red and I thought maybe that was scrap. I thought maybe it was a stump, you know, from parting off, but it's not. This is actually your docking lamp. So that there is not actually scrap, it's a part. You need to cut that off, and I'm not going to do it now, but the best way to cut that off would be to put it onto a flat surface and then just roll a knife over it like so with some pressure, and it will come off. So that's how you cut brass tube as well. Again, that's got some little tiny steps in it. It really is fantastic. If I zoom you in, if you hear some noises, that's the dog chewing her bone. You can see here, and here's the ship's bells. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then this here, this tiny piece here is not a piece of swarf. That is actually your anchor crane axis A and B, and they're made in one piece again. You need to cut those in half and make sure you don't lose them. So I've just gone through, and that final lot of parts is actually here. Let me just have a look at this anchor crane arm base, which is here. And it looks like that's supposed to have a hollow end on it, and it doesn't by the look of it. So that may be a bit of a problem, but we'll have a look into that as we build it. So yeah, it's all there. So that's that bag, and another bag here. What I did forget to say in the last little segment, when you do this, if you number your bags up, so this is parts 26 to 38, then when you're looking through, you know where to find them. So it looks like here I've gone from the end to the top now. So up here we've got the brass parts 1 to number 6 by the look of it. So we've got these are the crane A plus B. So on here you can see that you've got there's sort of a pulley there with a shaft on it, and then this is the brake where there's another part there, and you can see in the instructions here we've got a red part there, so that needs to be cut off. So we've got 8 of those, and then we've got the tiny little, absolutely tiny, just to give you an idea how small these parts are, I'll get my little digital caliper and I'll measure the diameter of that shaft. And you can see there that's 0.48, it's less than 0.5 of a millimetre diameter, that little shaft on there. So they're absolutely tiny, you'll be so careful not to lose them. So there we go, so that's that. And then we've got 8 of our capstans here, and then we've got the capstan Wildcat. I've looked online and I cannot find what the Wildcat is. There seems to be some like handles, like steering wheels almost, that go on the decks, and they're called Wildcats. If anyone can tell me, I'd love to know. I did a search for Wildcat and all it comes up with loads of dancers and obviously Grumman Wildcats and stuff like that. So we've got 8 of those. We can see a couple of those have got some swarf on, which has to be cut off. Then we've got our telegraph dials here, whatever they are, and then we've got our telegraph dial pedestals here. I've got 7 of those, so 7 of those, 7 of those, and it looks like that's it for that bag. Got a couple of bits of swarf here, so I'm keeping them just in case. It's lucky they don't do these bags by weight, because those 2 bits of swarf probably weigh as much as one of them, so I could have easily been short on parts. So I'd love to see how they count this out. So I'll get this bagged up, get my bag numbered up, and then we'll look in the next bag. And there we are, there's another bag. I'm going to bring you in for these because it's just ridiculous now. This is getting stupid. I mean, if you look at this part here, this is, what's this called? Steam supply valve A plus A plus A. Could even pick it up. 1 piece. Okay, that's 3 parts there. Where is it? It's in my hand somewhere. That's 3 parts. Okay, and you can see the grain. I mean, there's the tip of the tweezers. Where's the tweezers? There's the tips of the tweezers. You can see how absolutely tiny that is. So, yeah, crazy. And the other thing that impressed me with here, as a engineer, that is just a work of art. That little piece there. It's called an anchor cover. I'm not quite sure what it looks like or what it does, but you can see it's like a sort of like a dome, almost like an arched dome. It's obviously been turned and then drilled and then milled in half and parted off, or parted off and then milled in half. But unbelievable, really, really good. There's 2 of those. So there we go. So that's that lot, and you've got these parts here. These are sounding spar booms. I don't know what a sounding spar is. If someone can tell me, I'll be grateful. And then we've got a 20-foot T antenna beam, steam supply pipes, 2 of those, and then we've got some windlasses up here. They're quite big and bulky, so we can pick them up. Anchor gear, A plus B plus C, 2 pieces. Here we go. That's 2 parts on there. So you can see again, I'll get the tweezers. That's how small that is. Absolutely tiny. So there we are. And finally, final bag. We've got the lots and lots of bits, best of turn parts here. So we've got all our bollards here. There's 2 different types of bollards. One's got a little pip on, one hasn't. I'll show you close up in a minute. And then we've got all sorts of different pulleys. And then this little thing here is a bridge wheel pedestal AB. So that's actually 2 parts there by the look of it. So quite a metal. I think that's a piece of swarf. But it's actually a nice little cone, so it could be, I think, yeah, it's just a piece of swarf. Keep it anyway. And then we've got all the winch pulleys and everything down here, so it's all there. Let's give you a close-up. It's quite incredible how beautiful it all is. You can see all these bollards starting to mingle now as soon as I move it, but we've got one type of bollard there with a pip on the top, and then we've got the well duct bollards, which are flat on the top, as you can see there. So that's that, and then there's all these different pulleys you've got to identify. As I say, I've done this now on mine, and I know it's all there. I know all the screws are there, but basically I know I've got every single part. So if I come to build it and anything's missing, it's my fault. But you know, there's nothing worse than coming to build the kit in however long's time and then finding you've got a part missing. So that's been our close-up look at the brass parts. Alright, so you've seen all the parts now, all laid out, and yeah, really incredible how small some of them are. You can imagine they do 3/50th sets, and some of the parts are even smaller. It's just mental. So right, a few people have contacted me and commented in the videos about this set, and it would appear from some of the comments that maybe a few people haven't actually dealt with detail sets like this before, certainly not dealt with Pontos. And I did say in my original review that I think this is a fantastic setup, the way they've done this, you know, rather than the normal sort of Pontos instructions. In fact, what I'll do, I'll just get the Bismarck instructions just to show you as a comparison to what you get in this set. This is what you get in the Pontos for the Bismarck. This is, again, 1/200 scale trumpeter kit. This is what you get. So you get all these folded sheets, so like A3 sheets all folded up. Okay, and I think there's about 7 of them. And basically, you get that. Okay, so there's all your brass parts all littered about in between everything. They're telling you about some references down here. Here's an image down here showing you your resin parts that you've got. And then you've got this here, which is showing you basically the purple areas are areas you remove. The grey areas are areas of superstructure, and then you've got all these little symbols here showing you where all these little brass parts go. Okay, and that's basically all you get. And then when you turn the page, you can see here, same thing again with the decks. And like I said, the catapults, you know, this is catapult here, parts laid out, bang bang, there it is, done. So you've got to sort of guess how it all goes together, whereas with this set they do sort of show you a little bit more in the way of the assembly. You can see here there's this little trailer that goes together. That's not too bad actually, that one. And then you got this here, all these parts laid out. You know, they're telling you to bend it, bend it, bend it, bend it, bend it here, bang, there you are, it's done. It's easy as that. So yeah, and then you get areas like this where it's telling you to build up your mass. All that really, like hundreds of parts all going in. Amazing. I'm sure you can't see a lot of it because the light's reflected, so sorry about that, but the thing is I have to have light to see what I'm doing and to show you guys. So yeah, that's what you normally get with Pontos, or Pontos, however you say it. So what I thought I'd do, because it seems that a lot of people haven't kind of done this before. I haven't actually used a Pontos set in my life, to be honest, but I've done a lot of work with brass and photo etch and everything, and various different detail sets, and with an engineering background I can kind of make head and tail of all this stuff anyway. So basically when we go into the book, it's showing us all our areas there. Again, as I say, check all this, make sure it's all there. I did have a question from a gent asked me, did I think all these areas were cut out? Yes, they are. If they're shown on here as white, they're laser cut out, so or cut out by some means. So let's start on page 4, which is the beginning of the instruction manual. Now, if you've already started your model, just so make sure this is in frame. If you've already started your Titanic model, okay, and you have gone past step 3, all right, you're in trouble. Sorry, but you're in trouble, because you have got to do some modifications. Now, if we go to the start of the instructions here, I'll make sure you can see this, because the light, this paper is awful. It's kind of, if I get it so that it's reflecting and you can't see it, I can read it beautifully, but if I have the light on it, I can't see because of the angle I'm looking at it. But basically what we're doing here is telling you kit part J1, which is here. Here I am mega prepared, and this is your forecastle deck, as you can see there, and this is J1, and they're telling you underneath there, you see, cut that nub off there. Okay, so you're going to cut that off there, then you're going to turn it over and you're going to drill through there 6mm, and it looks like it's probably 6mm already. No, it's 4.75, so I'd go through there with a 5mm, 5.5, and then a 6mm drill. Don't go straight in with a 6, it'll just screw its way in and probably go off centre. When and if I build this, I'll probably cover all this anyway. So they're telling you to drill that out, okay, and then moving forward. So it's very, very basic this. They're telling you cut that nub off, turn it over, 6mm drill it through, and then you've got that. And then you're going to make up this box, which is A08. So that's going to be sheet A of your photo etch, which is here. Okay, and it's a fairly thick one, it's stainless steel, so it's fairly rigid. And you've got A08, which is this one here. So you're going to make up this box. Okay, so fold that up, solder it, glue it, whatever. And then you're going to make up this box, and you're going to slip this other box. No, it's not a box, sorry, it's C31, it's another box. From the C fret, which is here. Yeah, C. So C31 there. So you're going to make up that box, and then you're going to slip that box inside it. And all this is doing is giving you rigid mountings for your brass masts that are going in. So obviously before you actually glue this onto your hull, onto your 4-well deck, you need to make sure you've got this on, and then have that glued underneath. And then they've got here brass 34, which is one of the obviously the brass masts I just showed you. You're going to glue that B63 either onto the base here, or you're going to glue it, well, you've got B66, which is, now we need the B fret, so we're darting around. This is like building a Revell kit, isn't it? We're darting around between sprues. So that's D. Is this B? Nope, that's C, that's A. Where's B? There's B. Right, so B is here. So we've got this part here, B66 is there, and that's going to get glued onto the deck like so. Okay, and then you're going to glue that part there, B63, which is here, onto that part, and then your mast will go down through that hole. And if I were you, I wouldn't glue the mast in at this point. I think they're just showing you that to make sure it's all lined up. So get that in nice and solid. I'll be tempted when I do mine, I will make a make a plastic card box up and glue it around so that I've got the weld action of the plastic to the plastic, rather than just having the acrylate glue holding it in there. Problem is, if you push that mast in and it takes a bit of force, you could crack the glue and it'll just fall into the bottom of the hull, and that'll be it. So maybe do that. Maybe, I don't know, put a couple of screws in it somewhere and hide it. You could perhaps screw it down through there and then countersunk screws, because they'll be hidden under the wooden deck. There's lots of little bits and pieces you can do, but I'll make a plastic hard box up and have that nice bit of wild action glue and make sure it's in there absolutely solid. And then, so that's your part there. And then your aft mast, you've got to take your deck R1, which is here, which is this great big deck, which I believe is your promenade deck, which I haven't even opened yet. And what they're saying here is take your deck R1, cut that lump off, turn it over, drill it through 6mm, and then you've got a hole, and then you can add this on. And then what you're doing here is building up this. I haven't got the end parts with me, but the end part is a little box that goes under there. It's actually the second class entrance, I believe, and then that's going to go underneath, and you're making up this box to go inside, and then sort of that box is going to slip inside that box, and then that's going to glue up under there or glue into the floor below, however you're going to do it. So that's going to be nice and solid. And again, they're saying there, use the mast to line everything up. So as I say, if you've started your model already, you might come unstuck. So that's A, that's B, and that's C. Let's keep them in order. Right, so we'll get this out of the way. So moving forward, once you've done all that, that's that bit done. And as you can see, one of the issues here, if you use Edward photo etch, you'll know that it takes you through and it says, you know, to remove this, remove that, cut this out here, replace this with that. That's what that's doing. And I think that's pretty much about it. Looking through this manual, it ain't really showing you much more. So it's not like Edward where it's saying file this bit off here or take 3mm out of this area and then put your photo etch in. You're sort of on your own and you've got to sort of build what they're showing you. So basically what you've got here, you've got the crow's nest all going together, and that's going to go onto your brass part 34, which is there. Okay, so you're going to build up your crow's nest. You've got the floor plate and everything going. There's your little cubby stores there. It's really, really nice, really, really well done, and very, very well detailed. You can see you've got the planking detail inside there, or it may just be lines in there to enable you to fold it. But yeah, very, very nice indeed. And then we've got the antenna here, which is completely missing from the kit. Okay, so you're going to be building this up. You've got to turn the little buckles on the end 90 degrees, and then you've got the docking lamp and the ship's bell, one of the ship's bells here going on. You've got the mount is integral with the little chain that goes underneath, and then you've got this is your large bell, this is your smaller bell here. So your bell, your smaller bell goes up over the crow's nest, and the larger bell is going to go at the base of the mast. And then we're going to build up the rest of the mast, and you've got the ladder here going in. Okay, and you're coming down here, you've got the docking lamp, and then you're going to add some photo etch brackets in here. And then you've got your derrick here, and obviously that doesn't have all the pulley. I've been doing some research, doesn't have all the pulleys and everything on it. But basically what I've discovered, this actually was used to put heavier loads down into the cargo bay below. So the car that you saw them in the film, when she put her hand up on the glass and slid around down the glass, all romantic like and everything, like I don't know what they were doing, probably just having a chat or something, and she had an itch, I don't know. But anyway, that would have been winched in with that derrick. So and apparently all the pulleys and everything that go on there, they've all been taken off after it's finished loading. So you've got a few bits and pieces staying on there. So that can be, in the kit, they've actually got it moulded as down. I think you can see it on the front of the instructions here. They've got it there as moulded down with no cables or anything on it. So if you build your model out of the box, that's going to look a bit silly. But there we go. So here, they're going into the aft mast. Here's the aftermast. This is the foremast. And you've got this winch at the bottom here, at the bottom, which you haven't even built up yet, but it's just there for showing you where it's going to be. And then your aft mast is going to be going in here. This is the assembly of the aftermast. So here they've shown you all of the different brass parts are going together. Here you're just really getting a bit of a demonstration. So you've got, this is the foremast, this is the aft mast, bits and pieces going in between, and your antenna going at the top, as shown there.
Your rat lines, thank you, I can't remember your name, but somebody, I forgot the name of them in my last review, but somebody told me what they were called. So your rat lines are going to go basically on the sides here, but not yet until you fit the mast. I wouldn't fit the mast until right at the end anyway, but you've got your holes in the base ready to get them in. So moving forward here, right, if you are new to all this, pay attention. If you're not, turn off, fast forward, whatever. Just listen for the fun. I don't know. But as I say, this is the way I do things. If it's not the way you do it, then please don't put loads of comments in saying I do this wrong, I do that wrong. If you want to show people who do it the right way, then tell them in a video. But this is the way I do things, and if you have some sensible suggestions as an alternative or something, then all well and good. But if it's just the way you do it, this is the way I do it. So basically I put a note in the instructions. So I'm saying here modify and modify. Okay, so you can see I've got modify here written twice, and afterwards I've got a number 4 and a number 8. So I know that when I look in here, when I come to that part in the kit, if I'm using the kit instructions, I need to modify it. On page 4 there's a modification there, and then on page 8 we've also got the modification there, because we've got to remove all that detail from the top of there and just make it all smooth. So we're going to remove basically everything except for that little raised hatch area. Okay, I think that's the hatch that blew off, isn't it, as it went forward, or was it this one? Can't remember now. So yeah, you're going to do all that modification there, remove all that. What I suggest then is you fit it to the model. Okay, so do this, fit it to the model. What they're showing you here in these instructions is very, very difficult to follow in any sort of logical order, because what they're showing you here is the completed deck, okay, with the wooden deck on it, with all the bollards added, with all the photo etch parts added, everything, okay, as an individual item. They've even got the railings on there. Imagine this as a finished model. You're not going to do this now on that deck. Okay, you might want to add that piece of photo etch there and a couple of other flat bits, I don't know, but if I were you I'd wait till the wood's on, because if the position that they're going to go in is going to be denoted by the wooden deck anyway. So you've got to build all this up and add it, but obviously these tiny little wildcat controllers, whatever they may be, you add them on now, they're going to get knocked off. Okay, if you add your wooden deck on before you start painting your hull and everything, you may get paint on your wooden deck and it's going to be extremely difficult to remove. So my advice to anyone is build up the fore well deck, aft deck and aft well deck as per the kit instructions, and then go from there. What I'm going to do with my kit, if I build it, I'm going to personally do all of this, and then I'm going to mist this out, and I'm going to put these end parts together, the sides of the superstructure, and see if I can glue them into the top of the hull to get a nice seam, and then paint up everything, all the white and black, and then lower the decks in as I go and sort of build it up, rather than building up this complete assembly. Because the other thing is, if you remember, I did some calculations, and I don't think the actual sides of here, when you put your well decks in, I don't think these decks are wide enough. And if you watch one of the videos on YouTube, one of the only videos I've seen of it being built, he's having problems with the fit of his decks now. So and then once you've added this, you've got these flat photo etch panels going on in the cutouts in the wooden deck, and then once you've done all that, you're going to add all this detail here, and all of this folded up brass detail here for your anchor chain runs and everything is all going to go in after. So, you know, you've got these steam tubes here going in. You need to make sure that you're doing everything in order, because the instructions aren't telling you. It's not like an Airfix model where, you know, you glue the cockpit seat, pilot seat to the cockpit floor, and then you glue the cockpit floor to the fuselage, and then you glue the fuselage together. You could easily get lost with this. So just you know, double check everything as you go. Now what I've done here, I've looked through the manual. Now obviously if you're going to follow the instructions, you are going to skip from here straight to here, because that's the way the instructions go. Okay, you've got your foredeck and your poop deck there. You can see again I've got your modify 14, come to 14, it's showing me the modifications I need to do to take those bits off those decks.
And you can see here they've added all the benches. We've got this stream anchor going on. There's all sorts going on, and you know, you don't want to be adding all this before you paint the hull, or do any of this superstructure. Just think of it as you're going to be knocking stuff off. So when I came to the windows, I found a few issues. Okay, so maybe people can have a look at this. But basically, the way the kit goes, you've got all these different decks being assembled as you go up. So obviously, you're adding windows as you go up. Okay, as you can see, you come up to here, then you're adding more windows. In the aftermarket set, all the windows are kind of dealt with pretty much on 1 page or 2 pages, and I found a couple of issues. Now, when we look here at this, is our first, is this C deck, deck Q1. I did write down what they are. Deck Q1 is B deck. So B deck, this is all the window frames going round. If you look here, it's saying PA47, 2 of them are going into front of BE, and they're like rectangular. When you come to this instructions here, you've got B8, 2 windows there, AO7, they're arched windows. So don't really know what's going on there. Doesn't really matter much because you can't really see them, because that part M4, that's going to be sitting in front of them. This is the second class entrance, I believe. So yeah, you have to do a bit of surgery perhaps there, or I don't know. I don't know where the mistake is there until I look deeper into it. And also we've got a part here, B12. B12, there's a window called out in the trumpeter instructions here, which isn't called out in the Pontos instructions. But I've had a look and it looks like we've got a lot of spare E15, so we should be okay with putting a spare window in there. And then again on B25, B25 is there. You can see there's just a blank here to the right of those 2 doors, and in the kit there's a window going in there. So there we go. There's also extra windows in here that aren't in the kit, which is nice, like these window frames here around the bridge. They're not in the kit. So and again, I've made notes here: replace all PE frames 16 and 17, pages 16 and 17. So that's basically the way that's all going. And you've also got, so you can see some additional windows going in here underneath the underneath this structure here. When you come over the page here, things get really complicated. You can see you've got all these tiny drawings in here showing you where all these bits and pieces are going to go. So I'm not going to go down that route at the moment. I'm going to call it a day there, because I think I've probably blown your minds, confused you, waffled, whatever. Basically, that's the way I'm doing this. And also bear in mind, you've got lots of PE to add. Another thing just to show you here, you've got this section here with windows and stuff and that going in. But then when you come to this instruction book, you go right back to here to find A12. There's kit part A12, which is the panel going underneath the bridge, but that's right back here, and that is actually shown upside down. Okay, so you've got this I'm not sure if that's going to be a electrical conduit or whatever that is going around there, and you've got the gate going in another piece of PE there, and you can see it in that picture there. You can see there it is in the right way up. Okay, so basically you need to be a little bit careful, and as I say, if you've already started your model, you're going to have to do some surgery. So thanks for watching this. I'm sorry if it's been a bit confusing, but I just wanted to show you all the brass parts of the set and talk about my initial observations with it. One other observation I've had, which I'm not really that happy about, is let me just show you. So we've got these parts here. These are the sides of the superstructure, and you've got these square, some of these are just cut out, some of them are glazed. And if we look at them on here, some very, very thick plastic. You can see the lights picking it up there. And it's about 2.5 mil thick, which in scale would be like 0.5 meter thick. So I think that needs to be pared down. But we're going to have to be careful paring it down, because I think this here, I'll get this a pointer, this here, this ledge, that is going to be the where a deck is going to sit. So
we can actually only come underneath there and cut that away. I'm going to see if I can do something on the milling machine, because unfortunately I've got one, and actually mill this away and get it down to a more scale thickness. I've had a look on the internet, and these are basically, these pillars are, there's hardly anything to them. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at that, because especially like on the ends here where you can see this coming down, you know, that is, just make sure you can see it, that is particularly chunky thick plastic there. So yeah, the other thing I've done, drilling out portholes is fine. When you've got holes that are very small or they're quite deep, it doesn't really matter, because you can come along with a drill, I don't know, whatever size they are. I don't know, what's this, so that's 2 mil, so that's about the right size there, and that drill will go in and probably find its centre. No, it won't actually, because it's so shallow. So with these here, these are like 3mm diameter. I was thinking, how on earth are they going to get around that and do the centres? So what I decided to do was make up a little jig. So I've turned up this little jig, so I've got a little 3mm diameter spigot on there, and then there's a land so that it rests on, get my tweezers, so you've got this diameter here that it sits on, you've got this diameter here that it sits on, and then you've got this diameter here, that is for clearance, and then that diameter there is, it actually goes into the hole. So when, what this will do, see if I can show you on an angle, if we can get in here, what this will do then is pick up, so that diameter there will pick up in the window hole like so. Okay, so all you've got to do then is just get it down on something flat. Let's put it on here to do the second one in. Okay, and then come along with about a 1mm drill, because I've drilled a 1mm hole in the jig, and then just a quick couple of turns. What I've done there is marked a hole in the middle of that window. Okay, so now I can drill through with a 1mm, then go 2mm, and the drill should follow. And just do the next one along. Just pick up on that one there, hold it down, come along with the drill, like so. Next one along, pick it up in there. And there we go. And so now I've got centre marks in the centres of those windows. Okay, they look off if you hold them on an angle like so, but basically there you go. So now you can come in with a drill and drill them through, and they'll be absolutely fine. So there we go. So I'm happy with the way that's come out. I would like to have made something that did all the windows, but obviously getting all the hole spacings dead right for all of them would be a miracle, and obviously they're not going to be the same side to side, plus they're not straight, they've got a curve in them. And also we have to be a little bit careful drilling through, because there is a step here, a lip that the deck's going to sit onto, and I've got a feeling that that may just encroach, and if it does, it's going to push your drill down as you go through, so you might end up sort of making the whole oval. So I have to be a little bit careful of that. But it might be good actually, it mightn't be a bad idea if you drill through here with a 1mm, nice and straight, and then do the rest from behind. So in fact you could end up going through with a slightly larger drill and thin out that section as well. So yeah, I thought that was a great little thing to do, and it's you can do that all along the top of the hull as well, so that'll save a lot of messing about and getting those windows out of line. And I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, I'll try and show you in a drawing, but basically if you've got the end of your drill is like that, okay, obviously this is the cutting point, so it will cut on the sides if you're not careful. So if you had a hole that deep, okay, you could put your drill down in and it will cut absolutely fine. But if your hole is only that deep, like in the case of these, when you come down with your drill, you've got no guide to find the center, and you could end up, basically you'll end up with this kind of thing. Yeah, so you've got, there's your plastic there, and you've got the remains of the hole there, and you could end up with holes down the side of the hull like this, exaggerated. So that's why I've done that. So anyway, there we go guys. Just a few little hints and tips, and I haven't even bloody started the thing.
See you later, guys. Happy modelling. Bye for now.